Had to snatch the beat, yo, peak though. This gon' be the one like it's me, yo. Man down. Certified. I don't be broke, cleansing out our homeland. Don't fake Jews can leave. Yo, what's up, buddy? In town, he just claiming they 12 tribes. The truth ain't a child of Satan, use a damn lie. Up in captivity, waiting for your Howard shot. Cause every knee is going bow when he crack the sky. Return of the Black Messiah, you know that surprise. Sometimes you gotta repent and relearn. If we don't follow laws of the Lord, nigga, we burn. Kingdom on his way with a crown, wait and look what we earn. Realize, Jacob on the rise, that was our turn. Esau, now I ain't gon' front. We laughing at you cause we know your time is up. To any Jake joining hands showing love, I pray open up your eyes and wake up. I'm seeing Russia bringing out the real illustration. And all them devil claiming Christians getting irritated. Biden still sleepy Joe, why Kamala high? COVID-19 was a lie, now we outside. I'ma say it proud. I'ma cry loud. Revelations 2:9 got you tired. Saying you the Jews, but you really some liar. Let's go. They can't be us. 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 Once upon a time, all of us was in chains. They gave us false doctrines and they took our books away. They did it so bad that we tried to run away. I learned about the curse in Deuteronomy 28. The pastors never told us cause the money kept on quiet. Now 2024, it's a spiritual riot. You notice what I'm knowing, then you know it's kinda lame. Won't you open up your Bible, I'ma put y'all on game. That yoke of iron on our neck was kinda tight. Tender-hearted with our brothers made us fight. Praying to some wood like a cross was the deal. We cursed in the city and we cursed in the field. We got smitten with a sickness and an itch. Turned us into cattle, making slave owners rich. A man can't save us, it was nothing he could fix. God sent us back to Egypt again, but on ships. You think it's getting bad, but for them it's getting worse. The doctrine they disperse, getting killed, get a hearse. You run into the precepts, the chapters and verse. How the hell is y'all the Jews and y'all don't even fit the curse? Ooh, woo. Yeah. Go to hell, go to hell, go to hell. Go to hell, go to hell, go to lying ass devil, you against the word of Yah. Lying ass devil, you against the word of Yah. Hey, hey, Israel, run for your life. Hey, hey, Israel, repent or you die. Shame.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom to everybody out there online, YouTube world, Facebook world, to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. This is the Hebrew Chosen Elect, Wilmington, Delaware, back at you again for another Shabbat lesson that we hold every week from roughly 2 to 4 p.m. This week we'll be hopping right back into the same topic of last week. Part 2, Islam on trial. Is Islam for the blacks and natives of America, North, South, and Caribbean islands, your Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Dominicans, Argentinians, Brazilians, etc. Those that are native descent of North, South America, and Caribbean islands. Before we get started, we'll get into announcements. Then we'll go right back into part 2, Islam on trial. So with it once again, it being, are we still in the or no? Are they still in the Feast of Ramadan? The world's still in, what's it in like the 30th or something? So yeah, it's still for the world for half of the half of the half of the so-called Negroes, Spanish, Native Americans. Half of them are celebrating Ramadan right now. The other half are about to start celebrating Easter, and as we do every week, starting off the announcements, we're going to read Jonah chapter 2, verse 8.
The book of Jonah, chapter 2, verse 8. That observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy.
Right. And like we've been doing, like we did last week, we're going to continue to do this week. We're going and we're showing that the religion of Islam that so many of our people follow and take part in, that is a lying vanity that our people are observing. So the Feast of Ramadan, as we showed last week, is just a perversion of the Feast of Day of Atonement. So the truth, observing the truth and what's profitable to your salvation and pleasing of the Most High is to your fast, your celebration where you fast is going to be the Day of Atonement, which is in the fall. Like we proved already, the Feast of Ramadan is a perversion of that feast, and it's held now. That's what a bunch of our people are taking part in, which is a lying vanity. How do you decipher what's a lying vanity from something that's of truth and of profit to your life? Is it in the scriptures or not? Can you find it in the word of God? So they observe these lying vanities. Easter, which is coming up, Christmas, Ramadan, Halloween,
Mother's Day,
St. Patty's Day, and so forth and so on. Easter, forsake your own mercy that the Most High bestowed upon you by giving His only begotten Son for the remission and forgiveness of our past sins.
Come on.
So we have to, and we charge our people through the Spirit of the Most High to come out of these lying vanities, come out of all these ways and folly days and false ordinances and teachings that's been given to you here in America. Come out of those things, which is Babylon. Come out of those things and come back to the truth, the law, statutes, commandments, and the word of the Most High God, Yahweh.
Come
on. Moving on from there. Upcoming new moons and actual high holy days prescribed to us to keep through the Holy Bible, the Most High God, Yahweh's word. Our next new moon that we'll be celebrating as a camp is coming up tomorrow at sundown, March the 30th. And that's the this new moon is the official start of the actual new year. You read in the book of Exodus chapter 12 that the month of Bib, the beginning of that month, that new moon, that first day of the month of Bib, would be the start of your new year. So tomorrow is the new moon, and technically it's your new year.
Good.
The heathens, America, those of us that's stuck in America's ways, just celebrated it a few months back in January, the dead of winter. That's not the new year. The new year is technically tomorrow with the new moon, which is the start of Abib. We know it as, the calendars go different here in America. March is usually March or April, somewhere. It falls at a different date every year. This year is March 30th. After that, upcoming feast is Passover. We just did Purim, March 14th. The next feast day is Passover. You read in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, that the Passover would be held the 14th day at even of Abib. So new moon is tomorrow. 14 days after that, we start the Passover. It's April 13th at sundown. Then first fruits, June 7th. Feast of Trumpets, September 28th. Day of Atonement, October 2nd. Feast of Tabernacles, October the 7th. So with that, the Feast of Passover, we will be celebrating the Feast of Passover as a camp, as a body. April the 13th at sundown in Dover, Delaware.
Come.
10 Concord Road, Dover, Delaware, April the 13th. Starting time 8 p.m. Please be there by 7 p.m. We are also asking that if you're able and willing, we're asking for a donation of $100 per family and $50 per individual. This goes towards the purchase of tables, chairs, the goat, the cutlery, drinks, porta potties. So she ain't got to drive 2 miles down the road if you got to use the bathroom. And also, what's it called? A spit to roast the goat on. All these things have to be purchased for the Passover, and that's where your donation goes to. It doesn't go to any of our pockets. It goes to the cost of throwing this feast for it probably be at least 50 to 100 people. So if you don't have any money, you're still invited. If you are an Israelite and you would like to come out and keep the feast of Passover as prescribed in the Bible by the Most High God with us, even if you don't have any money, still come. Bring yourself as a living sacrifice, and you never missed a Christmas, you never missed a Thanksgiving. Let's start not missing the Most High's holy days.
Come.
And like, if you was broke, you didn't miss Christmas. If you was the only person they ain't put in $1 towards that ham and the greens and the mac, you still showed up and you still took plates on. And we're saying that if that's the case, you don't got it. Hey, this is the Most High's holy day. We forbid us from preventing you from coming and keep it. That's between you and the Most High. But if you can, throw in advance, and the Most High loves a cheerful giver. That's in the Bible. So, whatever you can give, but we ask 100 per family, 50 per individual. Moving on, we also got coming up after that, the Hamashara Yasha'Allah 22nd Hebrew Summit being held in Atlanta, Georgia from June 26th to the 29th. Starting with the Thursday, 26th, meet and greet. The next day, a camp speaking. Saturday will be the summit itself. And Friday, the family barbecue. If you can make it for the whole thing, start putting your money aside. Start making your plans. Come for the whole thing. If you can only come and make it out for one day, then come out for that one day. But now's the time to start making those plans. And, you get tickets available on Eventbrite. And even with the summit, if you don't have money, but all you can afford is tickets, still come out. The Bible says, "Come together, O nation not desired." So if you don't have it in you, you don't have money, you will not be turned away from the gatherings of Yasha'Allah. But yeah, so mark that down in your calendars, and we hope to see you there for a wonderful event. And it's always a good place for camaraderie, brotherhood, fellowship, all those things. Also, contact information. You can contact us through Facebook. You can contact me at We Are Israel, Gamari Yasha'Allah. You can contact Yakanan at Brandon Daniels, Yakanan Maccabee Yasha'Allah, and on Facebook. Also, if you're not already a part of our group, please join our Facebook group, The Rise of the Chosen. You can share. You can converse with other Israelites through the Facebook app, and you can also get edification and share different things that you want other people to see and take part of. Also, YouTube. We have YouTube channels. We ask that you, if you follow us or you're a part of us, to like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channels, share the content, and you can find us there at HCE Red Pill Reality. It's on the screen, bottom left, and HCE Reloaded. Like I said, if you get on there, you follow us for edification, for learning. Like our videos, share our videos. It gets us in the algorithm, and it also gives us a chance to reach more people and to edify more people, which is our true job here on this earth, keeping the commandments and pushing this word in the spirit of the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Mashiach Yahweh. And with that, I'll close this tab and we'll get started with the part 2, Islam on trial, proving that Islam is not for you so-called blacks. It's not for you so-called Hispanics, Native American Indians, whatever title you go by, whatever byword you go by, suffering from the curses of Deuteronomy. Is Islam for you? Is Islam going to bring you back to your God? Is Islam going to fix your communities? Is Islam going to fix you? Is Islam going to keep blacks from killing blacks, Puerto Ricans from killing Puerto Ricans, blacks from killing Puerto Ricans, so forth and so on? And the answer is no.
Salakia. The greater question is Islam going to make these so-called Arabs even like you? Because earlier this week, I saw an astonishing video, and it was these black women, and they was in Arabia, and it was these women who were Arabs. They were doing the handout and the giveaway in their neighborhood, and they looked right past the so-called Negro women, and they were even pushing their hands out the way when they was looking to get a handout from this giveaway that they were doing, and the lady actually smacked the so-called Negro lady's hands down and handed the bag over to the other Arab woman and would not give them any of the goods that was for free. So the question is, will these heathens even like you if you even take them on their ways? And the answer is no. The scriptures say in Proverbs 3:31 for us to envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of their ways. But y'all neglect to know is that these so-called Arabs, they put you in Islam through the Crusades, and they made you slaves, and they sold you during the sub-Saharan slave trade, and they gave you Islam. So taking on their ways is not going to make these so-called heathens like you. They are the second nation mentioned in Psalms 83 who have taken crafty counsel against you. So they are your second worst enemy, next to the so-called white man who came and conquered you during the Crusades with Christianity. So no, Islam is not going to save you.
Time, man, I think we should get that actually before we get started. You know what the brother says on point. That's what we were going over last week, where we left off. We're picking back up at. Let's go to Psalm 83. You quoted it. Last week, where we were going over how was the so-called Negro treated in the Islamic world, and we and what we found is that you was treated like nothing, like less than nothing, and hated, and they still hate you today. That's what the brother was talking about. They was he shared a video. He was doing a food giveaway, and the light look white Arab Muslim lady was I saw it was cheerfully. She was cheerfully given to all the other light or white Muslims, but the black Muslims, she frowned at them. She was trying to avoid them, wasn't really trying to give them nothing. And when she did give them something, it was just to get them out of her face. You know, so in the Muslim world, in the Arab world, we're going to show that, you know, you're not considered this on the same level, and you're not really considered anything to that group of people. You know, they hate your guts, and that's what we were showing last week. We're going to continue to show. But like he said, Psalms 83.
I sent you the video.
I already got it.
Okay, never mind.
I already saw the video.
I was hoping
yeah, that'd take too much time. I have to get my phone and fix my document. But Psalms 83 shows that the nation of Israel, that the whole world is against the nation of Israel, and stop doing it. It's their goal to keep you in darkness from coming back to your God, and that your name be no more. And we're going to show that in the book of Psalms, chapter 83, 1 and down.
The book of Psalms, chapter 83. Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult against Slakia. Thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasharallah may be no more in remembrance.
So the goal was to do what? The goal was to cut off the nation of Yasharallah, and that the name be no more. By what tactics? False religions, captivity, oppression, keeping the nation of Israel in sin, and by that the Most High God turned his face from the Israelites, which is you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Unless you got more, we can drop that. No. Oh, so the nations. What nations did this? Were the top nations do this?
For they have consulted together with one's consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom.
And that's the Europeans with their conquest and colonialism throughout the earth. Go ahead.
And the Ishmaelites.
That's your Arabians. That's the nation that's brought forth and pushing Islam throughout the earth. That's the Arabs, the descendants of Ishmael. And they know it. And they'll tell you, we descend from Ishmael. And when you read the Quran, that perversion of the Holy Bible, you see the promises that in the actual scriptures say Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. That's why they pencil in there. You find the Quran, Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael. Jacob, and it literally be the what's it called when you copy something?
The Quran means to recite a plagiarism.
It literally is, when you read it, is a plagiarism from something actually written in the scriptures, except for they penciled in Ishmael. So these are the two top nations. This goal was to cut off Israel and have the Most High God mad at Israel and stuck in slavery and underneath the foot. The two top nations are the two top nations that we as a people follow behind when it comes to religion, with Christianity and Islam. And we can drop that and go right back into the lesson from last week. Picking back up, we went through the book called The African Holocaust for Beginners to show how the so-called Negro, so-called black was treated in the Arab world. What's it called? The castrations, the harsh treatment. And we're going to pick right back up in another book detailing the Arab Muslim world called Race and Slavery in the Middle East. We're going to go into this book. It's a historical inquiry into Islam and that world, written by Bernard Lewis. A lot of edifying information in this book and a lot of information on the history of Islam, and we're going to bring that out today, continuing with this part of the class, how the Negro was treated in the Islam Arab world. And we're going to start in this book at page 12 to 14. 12 to 14. Race and Slavery in the Middle East. Page 12 to 13. Highlighted part.
Race and slavery in the Middle East. The slave needs of the Ottoman Empire were now met from new sources. One of these was the Caucasians, the Georgians, the Cicerons, and related peoples famous for providing beautiful women and brave and handsome men.
Drop to the part that starts with deprived of most.
Deprived of most of their resources of white slaves, the Ottomans turned more and more to Africa. Everybody went through slavery. Everybody was conquered. Blah 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 blah. Yes, they were, but what we saw last week is different nations in these captivities had different severities of treatment, and what we saw was the same way as in America. You had the indentured servants that they was released and they was treated so much better, and then you had the black people that was on the bottom and nothing. It was the same way in the Arab world. Even the elders said, from what we're seeing is it looks like the Europeans, they learned from the Arabs and they just copied the Arabs. And one of Esau's wives from the door was an Ishmaelite woman, one of the daughters of Ishmael. Mm-hmm. So and at the same time, we read in the book just now, and we seen it in the previous text that we read, that these so-called Arabs found the so-called Caucasian man and their women and their men desirable, but they castrated our men. Mm-hmm. But they did keep our women, but they didn't find us to be attractive. So they wasn't trying to mingle with us. They was trying to mingle with Esau.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've always had an affinity, even from the times, like you're saying, of Jacob and Esau's birth and start. So deprived of the sources of white slaves. Go ahead.
Deprived of most of their sources of the white slaves, the Ottomans turned more and more to Africa, which is the course of the 19th century came to provide the overwhelming majority of slaves used in Muslim countries from Morocco to Asia, according to a German report published in 1860.
Go ahead.
The black slaves at the time were recruited mainly by raiding and kidnapping from Sennar, Kordofan, Darfur, Nubia, and other places in inner Africa. The white mostly, though voluntary sale on the part of the relatives in the independent lands of the Caucasus, Leski, Dagestani, and Jajurian women, rarely men.
So they was selling their women, and it rarely men, and the whites, they was voluntarily selling their women. But when it came to the black people, it was through kidnapping and raiding. Even when they say, oh, blacks sold blacks, no, these were Africans, Hamites, who were selling Negroes, so-called, that were kidnapped through raidings or through war. It wasn't blacks selling their sister or their aunties or anything like that. But the Caucasians, they would sell their women, which that's something that's been done through all different nations. You give a woman in marriage, you get a price. So that's not even anything close to the slavery that the black so-called Negro has suffered in the Arab world and the Caucasian world. Keep going.
The need from early medieval times onward to import large and growing...
Those offered. Rarely men, then those offered for sale.
Okay. Right here?
Yeah, right here. Page 12.
I read this. This is what I just read.
No, you didn't read those offered. We stopped at rarely men.
Those offered for sale were already previously of servile status or slave children by birth.
So even when the Caucasians were selling their people, they were already of servile status and slave children by birth. So he wasn't even selling the people that they actually cared about. Read the highlighted part, same page.
In the Islamic world, where slaves were transported over great distances from their places of origin, the slave trade was more complex and more specialized, with a network of trade routes and markets extending all over the Islamic world and far beyond the frontiers of involving commercial relationships with suppliers in Christian Europe, in Turkish steppe lands, and in Black Africa.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
In every important city, there was a slave market, usually called Suq al-Rakik.
All right, drop down to the highlighted part, same page.
White slaves, mainly for military purposes, were more expensive.
So the white slaves were more expensive, and they wasn't for many jobs for oppressive. They wasn't being oppressed. They was being put into the military, and they were treated good. Go ahead.
Prices of 300 dirhams are quoted for Turks near the source of Central Asia, and much higher prices elsewhere in Baghdad. They fetch 400 to 500 dirhams, while a white slave girl could be sold for 1,000 dinars or more. The mid-19th century German report from Turkey quotes prices of 4,000 to 5,000 piasters, or $200 to $300, as the current price in Istanbul for a trained, strong black slave, while for white slave girls of special beauty, 50,000 piasters and more are paid. In general, eunuchs fetch higher prices than other males. Younger slaves were worth more than older slaves, and slave women, whether for work or pleasure, were more expensive than males. Olafur Eggleston, an Icelandic Lutheran pastor who was carried off.
Dropped the slaves were employed. So what we're showing there is treatment of blacks. The white slaves, the white women, they fetched a high price. They was treated good. They was wanted for beauty. All these things. The men, they were put into the army. Now we're going to go into how the position for the black slave in the Arab world started. Slaves were employed.
Slaves were employed in a number of functions in the home and the shop, in agriculture and industry, in the military, as well as in specialized tasks. Mm-hmm. The Islamic world did not operate on a slave system or production, as in Salakia.
As it said of classical antiquity.
As it said of classical antiquity, but slavery was not entirely domestic either. Slave laborers of various kinds were of some importance in medieval times, especially where large-scale enterprises were involved. They continued to be into the 19th century. The most important slaves, however, those of whom we have the fullest information, were domestic and commercial, and it is they who were the charismatic slaves, characteristic slaves of the Muslim world.
So domestic and commercial, what's that sound like? Plantation slaves. That sounds like in the house and on the field. And we saw from last week, the other book, we saw that those in the house or the palace, they had to get their stuff cut off. So they couldn't sleep with the women. So same as here in America, in the characteristic slaves of the Muslim world, that means what you think of when you think of slaves in that environment were domestic and commercial. Go ahead.
They seem to have been mainly blacks and some Indians and some whites.
So mainly blacks, some Indians, some whites. So this is the same thing as America. But before it was Christianity and the Caucasian Europeans, it was the Arabs.
That's right.
The people that you follow behind when you go into Islam and you become a Muslim. Go ahead.
In later times, for which we have more detailed evidence, in whom seeing that while the slaves often suffered appalling privations from the moment of their capture until their arrival at their final destination. Once they
were treated good.
They were captured until Salakia.
Said the
slaves often suffered appalling privations.
So they was the same way you went from the west coast of Africa, and you was kicked and beat and whipped and thrown on the ship and deprived of bare necessities. Same thing in the Arabic world. Page 14 and drop to the highlighted part again.
Can I make a statement? The conditions that we're looking at, how they treated us, are the very things that they created what do they call that, for criminal protections for criminals against war and stuff. The Geneva Convention,
POWs.
The Geneva Convention has been designed to say the limitations in which you can treat a human being. Mm-hmm. All of those are the conditions that they subjected us as normal people.
Mm-hmm. So basically, in the Geneva Convention, it's okay.
You can't starve a person.
Oh,
deny them food.
Now you can't.
Yeah, you can't now. Those are the things that were structured for the other nations, even when they are having conflict or war. These are innocent people who are being hunted down and brought and sold, and that has done no harm to no one, but yet the Geneva Conventions was never considered for them, even in travel to slavery.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Race and slavery in the Middle East, page 14, middle paragraph. The common view of Islamic slavery as primarily domestic and military may therefore reflect the bias of documentation rather than the reality. There are occasional references, however, to large gangs of slaves, mostly black, employed in agriculture in the mines.
So agriculture what?
In the
What's
field.
that? Your field. In the field. Farming. Sweating in the field.
Yeah.
Doing all the hard work, getting all the crops in, from sun up to sundown.
Salaki.
Uh-huh.
I have a scripture for you. Deuteronomy 28:16. Cursed shall thy be in the city, and cursed shall thy be in the field.
Mm-hmm. So what we see is the same way cursed here in America, in the Islamic world, it was cursed in the field. Go ahead.
These working slaves had a much Salaki, employed in agriculture and in mines.
In the mines. Look, remember in Django?
In blood diamonds.
He said we're gonna sell you to LaQuinn Dickey. You're gonna turn big rocks into little rocks, from sun up to sundown to the day that you die. Same thing in Islam. Go ahead.
In such special tasks as the drainage of marshes.
Drainage of marshes. Today would be what? You're dealing with the sewage. What else you drain the marsh for? That's gotta be where
to build houses on top of it.
Mm-hmm. But that's you're doing everything that nobody is willing to do. You're doing the worst of the worst. And why? Because you just a black. He's a Muslim. That's all right. Send him in that mine. Send him in that marsh. Go ahead.
Some less fortunate were hired out by their owners for piecework. These working slaves had a much harder life. The most unfortunate of all were those engaged in agricultural and other manual work and large-scale enterprises, such, for example, the Zanj slaves.
So the what slaves?
The Zanj slaves.
These black slaves who were going by the Zanj, we're going to see that they had Israelite customs. And we're going to see that through imagery. Go ahead.
The Zanj slaves used to drain the salt flats of southern Iraq, and the blacks employed in the salt mines of the Sahara and the gold mines of Nubia. These are herded in large settlements and work in gangs. Large landowners of crown lands often employed thousands of such slaves, while domestic and commercial slaves were relatively well off. These lived and died in wretchedness.
So from the day you die, from the day you're born to the day you die, sun up to sundown, slaving and being treated like less than an animal, just like antebellum slavery here in America. Let's join Islam, y'all.
Sure.
Go to page 42, same book.
I have a question. Out of all the teachings of Farrakhan, has he talked any of this way?
Nah, I ain't never heard it. I ain't never heard anything like that.
Well, if you did, you know why, right?
If it
have the numbers you have now,
he definitely wouldn't have the numbers he has now. If anything, they found a way to say, "Oh, that's fake news," or that's not. Whatever scholar wrote whatever book that this came from. Oh, he's not reputable.
Like they tried to say with Rudolph. He's not a reputable scholar now.
Yeah.
But he's giving you all his sources that he gave you all the information from so that you can go see for yourself and not just take his word. But let alone that, he actually went over there and did his research. He went there and took the trip. He wanted to know for himself. So how you going to discredit it now? Mm-hmm. It's like they're trying to they even try to discredit their own with Alexander Hislop, the two Babylons. They trying to say, oh, now that book don't hold weight now. Because he showed all the paganism that equates to the papacy. So now all this stuff don't matter.
Mm-hmm. So what book do they relate to?
I don't know, because they ain't relating to the Bible, because they lying on the Bible too.
They relate to whatever book pushes forth their narrative, whatever book is going to back up what they believe in. That's a good book. But if it's teaching anything that's against it, it's gonna show that we shouldn't be following this, or it's unreputable. And like this book we're reading out of, this is another one. He provides sources for everything that he's bringing out. And when you look in the back of the book, most of the sources he's quoting from is Arab authors, Muslims of the time, and the stuff that they wrote, the historical accounts they left behind. But if you was to get into a debate or a conversation with somebody who believes in Islam and believes the teachings of Muhammad and Farrakhan and Elijah and who's the newer ones?
Khalid Muhammad.
Khalid Muhammad and Iggy Islam or something like that.
What's the name?
Rizla Islam.
Rizzi
Iggy
Islam.
Rizla, yeah. They're just gonna throw out, stuff like irreparable or not reliable, just BS. But the sources are here, the accounts they're being given is true to life. You see it today. Like where do you see the Arabs giving out food or coats or clothing in the black neighborhood to all the blacks that are Muslims like them? You don't see it. So you can see it in real life, but
I see around my way becoming more and more in the Muslim faith.
Well, we're giving it to you like Christ gave it to you. We rough over here, like we all stare. And what people fail to realize that even though somebody's speaking to you of eloquent speech, they still could be deceiving you. The Christian pastor talk eloquent too. He coming in the suit, he looking nice, and he looking like he prospering. So people think that the Most High giving it to him. He riding around the Rolls Royce. He tell you sold $100,000 seed, so you can be just like him. You know what I mean? So they're looking at him like he the man.
And also, I remember a comedian had a joke on his set. It was like either Eddie Griffin or Martin Lawrence, one of them. But either way, he said when black people start running, other black people start running. It don't matter. If you run through a crowd of black, everybody gonna start running. Something must be happening. So we follow the crowd in our culture. So it's popular being wearing the headpieces and the garments and the kufis and the keeping Ramadan, and it's in the neighborhood and everybody doing it. So everybody following behind it.
Garb and stuff, dyeing your beard with red hennas, all that type of faddish foolish looking stuff.
The greeting
that's like a red Smurf.
The greeting, it's in Arabic. Oh, that's different.
Alaikum salam.
That's different. That's holy. That language sounds holy.
It sounds like you got a bad cough to me.
But yeah, so we follow the crowd. That's one of our problems. We like to enter in at the wide gate.
And you want to call these people your brother, but yet you go to one of their corner stores and they'll slice you some ham or something, sell you a ham sandwich and a pack of Newports and some vitality pills, and you think this your brother. Come on, man.
I mean, they're selling you all your blunts.
Tricking off with your women.
And your blunt wraps. Where are you getting them from? You're getting them from your so-called Muslim brothers. But ain't that what they call it? Haram or what's it called?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Ain't that haram? But nah, we'll give it to you. We ain't gonna give it to each other, but we'll give it to your black ass.
I remember one day I was with the brother Shawapar and Worcester and Abiyah and my son and his sons and stuff. He tried to sell us a pepperoni pizza, and I said, "Man, would you eat this pepperoni pizza?" He gonna say, "Oh, it's just business." So we supposed to be your brother, but it's just business that you're gonna sell us a pepperoni pizza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you ain't his brother. You are not his brother, and that's what we're seeing from the onset of Islam through in the Arab history. They didn't like your kind. They didn't like your ancestors, and they thought less of you. And we see that in slavery, the blacks in slavery was of the lowest status. Mm-hmm.
Got another scripture here. Still dealing with the curses. Deuteronomy 28:65.
Bring it out.
And among these nations shall thou find no ease, neither shall thy soul of thy foot have rest. But Yahweh shall give thee a trembling of heart and a failing of eyes and sorrow of mind.
But you ain't gonna find no ease. But Islam a religion of peace and a way of life, my brother.
Right.
Still telling us over in Arabic nation by the hands of the Arabic man. When you go to the corner store and you no longer can afford a can of soup because they hijack the prices of all things, so you go to them and all want, you know what I mean?
Yep.
There's no rest in those.
Hunger of all things. Hunger, want nakedness, yeah.
And we're looking at
And we spiritually naked too, so they try to clothe you with Islam. Yeah.
And you see the total control they have over all the things that we need and want. $12 for a dozen of eggs, right? This is a collaboration of nations that we see in Deuteronomy,
Crafty Council.
Psalms 83. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Read page 42.
Page 42, first paragraph. The low status of black slaves is illustrated by a number of anecdotes. An Arab seeking to avoid civil war among Muslims swear that we would prefer to be
So this this is showing how low the blacks, the Negro, was thought of by the Arabs. And he's saying that he would prefer, go ahead.
He would prefer to be a mutilated Ethiopian slave tending broody goats on a hilltop until death overtakes him, rather than that a single arrow should be shot between the two sides.
Speaking of them going to civil war of Arab Muslims against Arab Muslims, he would rather be a mutilated Ethiopian slave tending broody goats. Why is he referring to that as an example of what he'd rather be than have civil war with his own people? Because that was your status in the Islamic Arab world. You was nothing but a mutilated slave tending broody goats. That's all you was thought of. Go ahead. Or no, drop down.
And the word, just laying back off of that. The word Ethiopia there, just meaning black. That's the Greek word meaning black, Ethiopic. So it's not actually talking about somebody of Ethiopic origin. It's talking about being black.
Right, a black slave.
Yeah.
And here's an image. Here's an image showing an example of their hatred. They would come through the villages and just, brutally massacre everybody. They would take the slaves they needed. The rest, your life didn't mean anything to the Arab.
Kind of already told you that the older man, it was of no value of it. They want the younger slave. So if you was an older man, they just come in and kill you. And they already said that they was trafficking the women, so they was making sex slaves out the women right then and there.
That looked like a picture of Black Lives Matter at a march.
Oh man. Whoa. Ain't all, man. Same thing. It's a race movement.
Same page. Let me see.
Hey. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28:66. And thy life shall hang in doubt in prison, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have non-assurance of thy life.
Yep, and they said it was being transported through mad slave routes. You know what I mean? And we read in the previous book, like if you was tied up to a dying slave, they was going to leave you to die with the dying slave. You was going to be shackled to them. You can't drag him with you. You're going to be out in the desert dying. You're definitely going to be your life going to be hanging right before your life. The vultures probably circling out there in the desert. They source of water. They can't wait to dig in and be meat for them.
So where are we at? What page?
Race and slavery in the Middle East, page 56, bottom paragraph.
You can read the whole paragraph.
Laborers. Ibn Bhutan, in his handbook, suggests a proper ethnic division of labor for both male and female slaves as guards of persons and property. He recommends Indians and Nubians as laborers, servants, and eunuchs, Zanj as soldiers, Turks and Slavs.
No. As guards of person and property, he recommended Indians and Nubians.
Okay, I read that.
But the way he read it, the pauses wasn't right. So it sounded like The laborers and servants were the Indians and Nubians. So the guards and persons of property went to Indians and Nubians. Laborers, servants, and eunuchs went to Zans. That's important because we're going to see who the Zans were, right? That was the bottom of the bottom. Laborers, servant, and eunuchs, right? Then his soldiers, Turks and Slavs, got that role. Go ahead.
On female slave, he goes into somewhat greater detail discussing their racial attributes of both body and character, and the different functions for which they are best fitted. In the Central Islamic lands, black slaves were most commonly used for domestic and menial purposes, often as eunuchs, sometimes as in economic enterprises, as for example, in the gold mines of Alaki in Upper Egypt, where according to Yaqabi, the inhabitants, merchants of and others had black slaves who worked the mines, in the salt mines and in the copper mines of the Sahara, where both male and female slaves were employed.
So the same way you think of American slavery, you got the men and women and babies out in the field picking cotton, or in some mine breaking rocks. You was treated the same way in Islam. You was treated in the same way by the Arabs. Go ahead.
The most famous were the black slave gangs who toiled in the salt flats of Basra. Their task was to remove and stack the nitrous topsoil so as to clean the undersoil for cultivation, probably of sugar, and at the same time to extract the saltpeter, consisting principally of slaves imported from East Africa and numbering some tens of thousands. They lived and worked in conditions of extreme misery.
Of glory.
They lived and worked in extreme misery.
They were treated like gold.
They lived and worked in conditions of extreme misery.
They were equal.
Extreme misery.
This is how they felt about you. And if they could do it today, they probably do. Still do it over there. But if they could do it today, they would do this very same thing to you again today, whether you of Islam or not. Go ahead.
They were fed, we are told, on a few handfuls of flour, semolina, and dates. Mm-hmm. They rose in several successive rebellions, the most important of which lasted 15 years, from 1868 to 868 to 883, and for a while offered a serious threat to the Baghdad Caliphate.
See that? So our ancestors wasn't just so accepting of Islam, like it's this great religion. No, they was rebelling. They was fighting tooth and nail to not be a part of this Islamic world, to not fall under these Arabs. They wasn't just joining hand in hand because this the new thing. This is gonna bring us close back to the Most High. They was rejecting that.
And we read it in from Babylon to Timbuktu. Like they rather face martyrdom than accept Islam, and we willfully taking on the slave master's religion. You know what I mean? They said even to bring legitimacy to it, that Muhammad knew that he had to convert us to his new religion. But we already had our law, statutes, and commandments, and we already knew what our practices were supposed to be. So there was no way the original people was going to take Islam as the standard of what the Most High's word is. Khan.
And now moving on from that, a few images on the screen. You see the slave market in Zabid in Yemen, Baghdad, 1237 AD. And what do you see? This is your position in Islam, the same position that you had in the creation of America, the same position you had in the Christian lands and kingdoms as slaves. That's what you was thought of. You know, so you're following behind Islam because Christianity, that's the white man's religion. You're moving from the Bible to the Quran because that's the white man's book. But hold up. Hold on. It's the same thing in Islam. You haven't moved to nothing that's not of another nation that didn't have to do with your slavery, your oppression, mistreatment.
The only difference with Islam is like you think it's the white man's book, but it's really our book. It was written by our ancestors, but we know for a fact that Muhammad used somebody to plagiarize it. And not only did he not write it, but he had spoke from his vivid imagination what he thought a religion should be, and he recited it to somebody in his so-called Quran, which is unholy. And it's just what it is, a cheap plagiarism of the law, statutes, and commandments, where you can eat swine if you're really starving, and you can dine on shrimp and crab and even camel hump, which is all abomination.
Mm-hmm. Con. Next image, a slave bringing food, probably Syria 1222. And you see the Arabic writing. These are paintings and images done by the Arabs at that time. And where's the black in this society?
Servitude.
Servitude. And you see this brother here, what's he got on the bottom of his garment? If you look where my mouse is at, he's got fringes.
I thought there was curtain fringes in a new thing in the United States of America.
That's what I heard that too.
Yeah,
I heard that.
They curtain fringes.
Nah, even in the Arab world, you see that we were still keeping the customs that you find ordained in the Holy Bible.
That's not in Babylon. We didn't get that from the Babylonians.
Holy actual word of God. Nah, it wasn't in Babylon. It was in slavery, but we had them before slavery.
Come.
This is a palace. The Ottoman prince and grand vizier with attendants. All the attendants, all the slaves, so-called Negroes. But guess what? They're dressed nice. Oh, these slaves, see, they treated good. They all slaves wasn't treated horribly. Look at these slaves. They decked out. There's probably air conditioning. There's probably air conditioning there with giant fans. They living it up. It ain't so bad. These are your eunuchs. Remember we read last week, they would call it leveling. They would cut everything off so that it's all level with the abdomen. Basically turning men into action figures. Right? And that, so they dressed up. They being treated good, but not really. That came with a hell of a cost to pay. These are your eunuchs. Uh, 1597. Not too long ago. Same thing here. The heir apparent Lamed at the Ibrahim Pasha Palace with, see, let you know, eunuchs. So all these brothers, this dress nice, look like they got it made, look like they living good. They're not out in the field sweating or breaking rocks to little rocks. Nah, but they had their rocks removed. So this is what you follow behind. So you throwing on all these is now today to feel like you're closer to God or like you say Allah, you throw on these same garments. Well, your ancestors put these garments on at the cost of losing their rod.
Salaki, I got a statement as well.
Speak up.
Salaki, I got a statement as well. That you notice that when they're doing the castrations, that's to prevent heterosexual relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But the rear end is wide open, and the Arabs are big freaks. They were big on the side.
Big time
So
freaks.
you couldn't engage in healthy heterosexual relationships.
I don't.
But inside of that house, you were perfectly prepared to be a sodomite.
Yeah, I mean these people are beasts. I don't got any images on it, but you can guarantee they the same way that they was buck breaking here. We what we're seeing is everything they did here, they was already doing in the Arab world, and they must have learned from them. So if they did buck breaking here, they must have did buck breaking there. We have here, so we got this image. The chief black eunuch conducts the young prince to the circumcision ceremony, 1720 to 1732. Yo, this brother here is where this guy came. The idea for this guy came from. Who's seen Game of Thrones? So you know this is the head eunuch. He's giving everybody all the wisdom. He's got the best counsel. But what he don't got, he ain't got a rod or his nuts no more. That was the same thing with our people in Islam. So remember how this guy talked in Game of Thrones?
You have a high pitched voice.
Oh
my goodness. That's awful.
What time do you want to meet? I'll give you advice.
Like George Washington Carver.
So that's this guy. So this was your ancestor was, follow me, I'll take you to the circumcision.
That's awful.
But this is what we want to follow today. We want to throw on these same garments because it's Ramadan.
Salah. We also see that there's much parallelism in that. When we look at people like P. Diddy, that these are gatekeepers. He is the gatekeeper that introduced you into the changing of your nation.
Now they spiritually castrate you by making you sit on the couch and taking your manhood from you. Yeah, back then they do the same thing. They just wipe the slate clean though. Remember they did it at 8 to 12 years old. Because if they did it to adults, they probably rather choose death.
A brutal circumcision.
Remember, it said like only 1 in 30 or so would survive, but that's how valuable they were. So valuable. It's so much money means so much more than your life in the Islamic world that they're willing to give up 30 of you just to have one of you without a rod and balls because of the value you're going to have. You're going to fetch top dollar on the market.
You next.
And remember, these paintings were done by Arabs. You see the eunuchs, right? You see the writing. So this wasn't even done by the so-called white man. This was their artists, their artwork. So here we see a rebellion. Here we see those refusing to bend to Islam, refusing to bend to those Arabs.
There are people so willing to take it
and
on.
This lets you know. So here, remember the Zanj, how they was treated, and also how they were rebelled. This is an image of the Zanj rebelling against the Arabs and their Islam. And you see on their garments, you might gotta look close, but they got fringes on their garments. We know that's Numbers 15:38, Deuteronomy 21 and 12, or I forget, 15:38. We know that this custom comes from the holy scriptures, from the Torah, given to the children of Israel. And these Zans, they're refusing to worship, quote unquote, Allah, the Kaaba, follow Islam. They're fighting tooth and nail to the death, refusing this.
Come.
And it says here, Mishrash and Tarusiye watching Darab. So that's this cat behind here watching. Darab is the Arab or Indian fighting the Zanj. So these are Zanj. They're wearing Israelite garb and fighting off Islam, refusing this wicked, idolatrous custom. And refusing to fall into servitude, much like this antebellum South servitude. They're fighting to the death to avoid that. Same thing here. The Rob going into battle against, once again, the Zanjis, the Zanj, Israelites, so-called black people. And that's 1580 to 1585. That's around the time that you started coming over to the Americas. Because those who lost in battle, those who became captive, sometimes found their way being sold to a white man. But before those slave ships, probably had on fringes, probably had a sword and dagger and weaponry, and was fighting against Islam. This is an assassin, fringes on his coat. If you look close. Look, he got the bonnet on. This is Humay's groom, who had a secret passion for her, murdering her at night, and she would not submit to him. So I guess he had got himself a. This. I think he's just killing his enemies, but maybe he married a Arab woman. All his victims, Arabs, Muslims. What's up, Clark?
Oh, I have that scripture dealing with the fringes.
Mm-hmm.
Numbers 15, 38, 39. Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe a border or a ribbon of blue. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of Yahweh, and do them, and ye shall seek not after your own heart in your own eyes, after which you used to go a whoring.
And you would use them to go a whoring after these other religions and stuff. And as you can see, when this brother was looking upon his fringes, he was like, "No way, we ain't taking on Islam. It's to the death with this. We gonna rebel. We gonna be martyred off. We gonna fight to the death. We not taking on this false religion." And that's how they was. That's how our ancestors was. Look at them. They had battle with the fringes. They grabbing these fringes and they thinking and meditating on the Most High's laws. That's what these men are doing right there. And this is the record of it. You know what I mean? This is a tapestry that we're looking at. You know what I mean? They said we're not going to bow down to this false religion. We're not going to do it. But now we here in Babylon, the great harlot of harlots, and then we taking on this Islam, this 5% nation, this fruits of Islam, this nation of Islam, all of this BS. You know what I mean? We got it wrapped up in it.
And you know what it also shows? This is the 1500s, late 1500s, 1700s, wearing fringes. It shows that he wasn't some jungle monkey or whatever they portray. He wasn't naked out in the jungle swinging from vines. Brothers had on garments. Brothers had on fringes. They were taking time to put fringes on the borders of their garments. Then the garments were taken, and then you became naked. You became naked when you was thrown into a cage and yoked with collars of iron and led to a slave ship. Before that, this is what you come from. And you wasn't, most of the time, you wasn't a Christian.
And they conquered you in empires.
Because Christians don't wear this.
And they conquered you and destroyed your libraries. You were great, man. You had libraries in Timbuktu. You was ruling in the Mali Empire. You was ruling in the Ga Empire as the Ashanti. You was in Zanzibar. You was in Kenya as the Kabiru. You were ruling where they was taking you from. You know, and they don't teach you that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Also shows that you don't just come from Africa. We forget. I don't know if anybody noticed. These photos are from India. Because the Islamic world pushed through Africa and also India. So this shows that we was where? Scattered in India as well.
The people over there are called the Sidi people.
This isn't
they still there.
Right. You got your Indians, this your natives or whatever. And then you got so-called Negroes that migrated there, Israelites, and have been a part of that society, intermarrying probably, now up to today, taking on their culture, but still at the bottom. And they still are not accepted the same way as your actual Indian.
We also see that in the military when we went over into Afghanistan and in the Middle East, bombing those territories, that it was part of the American military job to go into the museums and go into the libraries and the places that they recorded records of what they've done to us, so that we wouldn't get that information, because that's the threat of woke.
Yeah.
These nations coming together and sharing the information.
That's why they burned down libraries.
Yep, in Timbuktu. Yep, that's why I said what I said, because they went there and they did that. We were chief scribes, we were scholars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get the book Job 8 and 8. Barakathah. The book of Job, chapter 8, verse 8. And it reads, "Inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers." And that's what we got to do. We got to sit down. We got to do a diligent search of our fathers. We got to see what they were really into. We got to see what statutes, what customs they were keeping, and what philosophies they were following, because they definitely wasn't following behind Islam willingly. They were not doing it. Now, later on, when you had men who had riches and stuff like Mansa Musa, they did convert to Islam because they wanted to set up trade throughout the Islamic world, and he was sitting on a lot of riches, so he did eventually convert to Islam. But we weren't Islamic pre 1600s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean 600s. Slovakia.
My friend, it wasn't nobody. This is a new religion.
Yeah,
this is a new religion to the earth. Yeah, not us, not even them. Before 600 AD, they had 360 idols, one for every day of the year.
Salaki. And Jeremiah speaks of this. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thy heritage that I have gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in a land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
Mm-hmm. This is another painting they did.
Ooh,
look at that.
It's hard to look at.
The woman who discovered her maidservant having improper relations with an ass. And that's the quote they put. They probably forced this woman to do this. But if not, then you understand though how did we fall victim to the Arabs? How did we fall victim to having to serve people in another land, serve wood and stone, take on their idolatrous religions? Because we was off. This is against the commandments. The commandment says not to lay with a beast. Let's go back to the book. Page 58. So once again, just a refresher, we are going over how the so-called Negro, so-called black, was originally treated in the Arab Islamic world. And we're seeing that you treated like less than nothing, like garbage. And page 58, the highlighted part.
Race and slavery in the Middle East, page 58, middle paragraph. He complains in particular of a manifest of shocking calamity widespread and established sense of old.
Perfect. We started Al-Nasiri recognizes.
Al-Nasiri recognized the legality of the institution of slavery in Muslim law, but is appalled by the application. Mm-hmm. He complains in particularly of manifest of shocking calamity widespread and established sense of old in the lands of Maghreb. The unlimited enslavement of blacks and the importation of many droves of them every year for sale in the town and country markets of the Maghreb, where men traffic in them like beasts or even worse.
So why are we following Islam again? Because the same way you find that the slave markets of Mississippi in America, of Richmond, Virginia, Georgia, New York, where's the stock market at?
Oh, Wall Street.
Wall Street, same as Wall Street.
Wilmington, Delaware.
Yeah.
Wilmington,
Price's
Delaware.
Corner. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Price's Corner. Wherever you find the slave markets in America, imagine the imagery you see on Django Roots. Now you can see that it was the same in the Arab world. So why are we following behind this religion? Why are we following the gods of the very same people that did those actions to us then before coming to America? Why are we following their religion now? Why are we leaving from the so-called quote-unquote white man's religion, white man's book, to the Arabs' religion, the Arabs' book? Make it make sense. This is how the Negro was treated in Islam, Arab world.
So y'all remember in times past where they try to make Islam black man's religion? Never can prove that. There's no literature on it, but they made people believe that, and that's how they started recruiting a lot of people.
How they put it in roots?
Oh,
Kunta Kinte.
Yep.
Trying to say it was Muslim and stuff. There was no proof for that. None.
But even with that, so we read about who instituted the Nation of Islam amongst black people in America. Fard Muhammad.
Muhammad.
When did he didn't come around to the 1930s. And what did he play on? He played on black people's lack of nationality, lack of knowing who they are. And he came with, oh, you guys are the people of Shabazz and you're from Mecca. And because this is a time when, black people basically have no hope, right? So they're like, you feel like, oh, I actually might be somebody. So it's easy to deceive a people at that time. Yeah. And that's what happened now. Today is just now. It's
the same thing with the white man. He sold us the goods of we from Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We're from royalty. We from kings and queens of Egypt.
Right, because what's that come from?
They come from Wallace C. Budges.
Which is what he's saying is a white man. The whole Egyptology idea, playing on people that have no knowledge of who they are and have no hope for the future. And hey, you was the kings of Egypt.
Do you know what the name of the book that Wallace C. Budges authored concerning Egypt? You know what it was called? It was called the Book of the Dead. Well, the scriptures is the book of life.
And God isn't the God of the dead, but the God of the living. Come on. Drop down to the other highlighted part. Or you can keep reading. This abuse.
This abuse is so old and so deep-rooted.
So it's deep-rooted in Islam.
Says al-Nasiri that many of the common people believe that the cause of their enslavement in holy law is that they are black of color and imported from those parts. America's just Islam 2.0. The Christian version of Islam. Went from Al-Qaeda to Al-Cracker.
Right. Al-Qaeda to Al-Cracker. Drop down to the highlighted part, white slaves.
White slaves were rarely used for rough labor and filled higher positions in domestic and administrator employment.
See that? Remember in the movie 12 Years a Slave? He wanted to give the letter to the white slave because he knew he's about to leave. He's treated good. You can go to market. You can send my letter off. You can get word back to my people. It's the same thing in the Arab world.
Taskmasters.
Mm-hmm. Rarely used for rough labor. Moving on. So what we just went over, real quick recap, we went over the treatment of black people in the early world of Islam. It was like a mirror image of early Christian white world, from the enslavement to being considered less than human. If you was a Negro, this was your lot. This is important information considering the first place a Negro runs to in order to escape following a religion that was learned from hard bondage and oppression is the Islam, which was no different in enslaving and oppressing the Negro on that side of the world. Next topic we're going to get into is, did the Negro, who's really a Jew or Israelite, accept Islam by choice? We already saw images that they did not.
Cool.
Or was it taken on as a means to avoid death or slavery? And you see the image here is Muslims taking your black ancestors into slavery on yokes of wood and chains of iron, and also yokes of iron. And you see, I guess this slave wasn't walking fast enough. He's about to be decapitated. Right over here. He's got his axe.
Look, his feathers is
pinned
broken.
down. Mm-hmm.
Can't walk no more. He said, Hassan
So
Chop.
you know what? It's okay. We got something for you. We'll send you on to your next life, whatever that be. No problem. We got you.
But these your brothers, right?
So, one thing, this is a quick recap. We already read it up above in Babylon, Timbuktu, page 49 to 50. And it recap, it had read that in spreading his new religion, Muhammad became a religious extremist in order to give his people a better life. His people, the Arabs, the Ishmaelites, on a rapid scale. Remember, that's how what he used to attract his people to his new religion, using the scriptures and showing that he was written about as a prominent figure in the Holy Scriptures. So he wanted to push forth his religion on a rapid scale to better the life of his people. He was now determined to propagate his religion by the sword. Muhammad became a martial prophet, and the pagans and stubborn Jews became his victims. That's what we read at Babylon, Timbuktu, page 49 to 50. Back in the same book now. Yeah, you got a question?
Yeah, that was prophesied also in the book. Jeremiah 28:13. Go and tell Hananiah, saying, Thus saith Yahweh, thou hast broken the yokes of wood, but thou shalt make for thee them yokes of iron. So that's an old captivity. Now we came into a new captivity.
We'll go from the Arabs to the so-called white man. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Page 88. Right. Babylon, Timbuktu, page 88. Between the second and third.
The book up from Babylon to Timbuktu, page 88. Here.
Start between the second and third.
Between the second and the third centuries, the black Jews of Arabia continued migrating across the Red Sea to Ethiopia. The largest exodus of the Jews occurred during the persecution by the Arabs, led by Muhammad. He had said on his dying bed that he wanted Islam to be supreme throughout all of Arabia.
So the Jews were being persecuted by the Arabs, led by Muhammad, who was trying to do what? Force his religion by death or slavery.
I thought he was a prophet under all, man.
Seems like a murderer to me. He don't see. He's a prophet. He's a prophet of Baal.
But he only put it to a certain degree. Arabia. He didn't go outside of Arabia.
So it wasn't intended for anything beyond that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, no. Oh yeah, he wanted Islam to be supreme throughout all Arabia.
In the modern Muslim will tell you that any other book than the original book, which they can't point out, is all written in there.
So that's like, yeah, that's a cut. See, so
But-
no one in here in America should be either a Muslim.
Right.
You ain't living in Arabia.
Right. And and it also shows him going through Africa and different lands to conquer them and bring them to Islam. It meant what? He was also trying to expand Arabia. It wasn't about converting people to the true religion, actually bringing people right to Allah. It was about power. It was about expanding the kingdom. It was about ruling the world.
It was about tyranny.
And that's the same thing with Esau here in the European world. After World War II, when the economies were broken because white folk were killing white folk, they needed to restore their economies, so they had to extend slavery to rebuild those economies.
Yeah, that's it. Can I say that again?
After World War II, we went into the Great Recession. Europe was broke because of all of the wars it was engaged in. So to rebuild those wars, we went into convict leasing and formed a slavery to take and restore the wealth to the European world.
Right. That's what it's all about, right? Next book, The Slave Ship, A Human History, wrote by Marcus Rediker. We're going to page
'Slack.
let me see. There we go. Page 81. So the slave ship.
Page 81.
Human history.
Second paragraph. Islam had begun to spread throughout Senegambia in the 9th century, and by the 18th century was a defining, although still contested, reality of the region, with an expansion of the aristocratic, militaristic, horse-riding, manlink. Many members of the smaller cultural groups were taken.
You said man, like it's a
Manlinke, Slovakia. Many members of the smaller cultural groups were taken and sold to the slavers. Bijago men were known to commit suicide or capture. Jihad against non-Islamic groups and merely
hold on. Bijago men. So this is the expansion of Islam. Now we're up into the 18th, 19th century. So they're taking cats as slaves, right? And it says Benjago men, which is a tribe of people over there at the time, were known to commit suicide on capture. Why? They'd rather kill themselves than go into slavery with these people or to convert to their religion. Go ahead.
Jihad against non-Islamic groups and merely nominal Islamic leaders erupted in the 1720s.
What did?
Jihad.
So see, blacks today, you think of jihad as Arabs going in and blowing up white people. But before they was having jihads against America or white people, they was having jihads against your people.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Non-Islamic groups and merely nominal Islamic leaders erupted in the 1720s and lasted through the 1740s, flaring up against in the 1780s and not 1790s as a result of the Feuda Jalan Jihad slave exports spiked in both periods, although the process of enslavement remained uneven over time and space. Fula cattle herdsmen, for example, revolted against Susu rulers in the 1720s and managed to gain control of some land for themselves. Resistance to enslavement was fierce and would be carried onto the slave ships. Other commoners gradually converted to Islam.
So now they started to convert to Islam. Why? What's going on? Death is going on. Slavery is going on. So people started to convert. Go ahead.
Not least to save themselves from being enslaved, especially in the area around the Gambia River. Meanwhile, Islam continued to spread by commerce as Diula merchants, classic mobile middlemen, traded, converted, and conformed new settlements. The enslaved came from three catchment areas: the coast, the upper Senegal, and Gambia River valleys, and the region around the middle and upper Niger. These were mostly cultivators and herdsmen, speakers of related languages of the West Atlantic group in Senegambia.
So they were converting to Islam. And that was the question. Did the Negro, who's really the Jew or Israelite, accept Islam to avoid slavery or death? And the answer is yes. This was the whole purpose of say you did get a Kunta Kinte that came over here as a Muslim. How did he become one? He became one to stop from being killed or enslaved by the Arabs. He just so happened to get caught up and enslaved over here. But we wasn't just coming and taking on Islam. This was something that was done by sword or captivity. It was done with hopes to avoid the sword or the captivity. Nature knows no color lines. Page 58, wrote by J. Rogers.
Nature knows no color line. Page 58.
In the 9th century.
In the 9th century, the Moors were to be aided greatly by other Islamic peoples as far east as Egypt and Arabia, whose armies from the days of the pharaohs were predominantly black or dark mulatto. As from the Muslim Empire, when it stretched from Baghdad to Portugal on both shores of the Mediterranean, it was, as King rightly called it, Negroid, of course. It had a large or unmixed Negroes. It had a large percentage of whites too, but so great was the number of Zangs.
So who were the Zangs?
The Zangs.
Blacks that were keeping Israelite customs.
Or unmixed Negroes in the armies that in 1870 AD, where Islam was at the height of its power, the blacks revolted and held Baghdad, capital of the world's then mightiest empire, for 14 years. In 871, their Negro general Mahalabi seized Basra, rich city famous in the Arabian Nights, and made slaves and concubines of the white women and children. During the Crusades, 1096 to 1270, so many Negroes were taken out of Ethiopia and the Sudan to fight the white Christian invaders that in 1196, Negro troops in Egypt, 50,000 strong, dominated the court and the armies. The marshal of the palace, a Negro eunuch the Ottoman El Khafat, their protector, was one of the most powerful men in the empire. Ibn al-Athir, Muslim writer of the time, says
Mm-hmm.
the revolted Negroes made the streets of Cairo run blood for days.
So was we accepting of Christianity? Was
La'ah.
we accepting of Islam?
La'ah.
No. And when opportunity arose, we would make the streets run with blood.
That sounds like in the scripture saying the blood was going to be up to the horse's bridle.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like the spirit of Nat Turner. That spirit that Nat Turner had, that's the spirit that arises from these things and revolts from the Arab world to the American world. And even before that. That's the same spirit that you find in the Maccabees.
Come.
That's what our people had when it came to Islam. That's what we had when it came to Christianity. And those that converted, they was just not of that spirit. Those were the ones that were afraid.
It's the same spirit that we're going to find in Obadiah 1:18.
Mm-hmm. Khan. Same book. No, from Babylon Timbuktu, page 93.
From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 93, by Rudolph R. Winston.
Highlighted part.
It is now an established fact that Ghana was a black Hebrew state. And at this juncture, I shall continue my writings concerning the Zod dynasty of Ghana.
Or Zanj, right?
Or the Zanj, yeah.
Khan.
The fifth Zod prince took control of the great city of Gao on the upper Niger, AD 1009. His name was Zakasi or Kasui. Up to this time, all the kings of Ghana professed the Hebrew religion. However, in this year, a radical transformation occurred. Zakasi accepted Islam. Davidson, quoting the Tariq el-Fatah, says that the king of Songhai, Ghana, was persuaded to convert to Islam by the merchants of the city of Gao.
So he was persuaded for what? Trade. Economic advantage. Go ahead.
This sounds like the mistake Solomon made.
Mm-hmm.
Who already had become wealthy and economically powerful. Much of the Ghana's trade was mainly maintained with the Muslims of the north. The North Africans were ardent Mohammedans in their day, and economics and religion were co-partners, operating concertedly in the city of Gao. I do not condemn Zakasi for his conversion to Islam. In fact, I shall justify his actions. The Muslims were dominating Ghana's vital trade links in North Africa and the Sahara.
And this is Rudolph speaking. We don't justify this. This was a sin, and this is the reason we're where we are today. Things like this.
He should have trusted in the Most High instead of trusted in man, and he was trusted in the riches of the world. And you can't put your trust in riches, so we by no means justify this.
Go ahead. I just had to bring that out. Go ahead.
He spoke on his own opinion.
Yeah, that's Rudolph. But we're in this book for the legwork he did, the work he put into finding out the real history that we're not taught in the school system. But his opinion, like same thing with the Hebrews and Ronald Dalton. They got some doctrinal beliefs that are a little bit different, but you know, the work they put in, the scholarship, that's what we use this for.
The Muslims were dominating Ghana's vital trade links in the North Africa and the Sahara, and it was good for Ghana's security to be recognized as having a Mohammedan king. Concerning Islam in the Western Sudan, Basil Davidson makes the following observation. Islam reaches the markets of the Western Sudan by at least the 9th century, but it makes little initial impact. The rulers of Ghana do not accept Islam as one of their state religions. Only at the beginning of the 11th century are there a few such conversions, Salakia. The earliest of any importance of which we know being that of the king of Gal, traditionally in 1010, followed by that of the king of Kanem Bornu in 1086. Davidson says these are tactical conversions. These kings are Muslims only in name, motivated as much by commercial convenience as by appreciation of the political and religious achievements and teaching of Islam.
Mm-hmm. Well, in other words, he's putting out usury. He's pretending to be something, go along to make the wealth.
That sounds like most of these brothers on the streets. They just Muslim in name too. You sit down with them, they don't know the Quran. They don't know nothing about the Quran.
This has to do a lot with politicians who are here making deals with Esau and his government for the interest of being paid off.
Come on.
Right. So with everything we've read above, what we read is a few examples showing that in earlier history of Islam, we were fighting wars against Islam. We were fleeing out of the region of Arabia during Muhammad's conquest to escape Islam, or we were converting to that religion in order to maintain commercial operations. Islam was never something that we saw as the way to God, the way to get back into the Most High's grace
at all.
Sean, I have a scripture for that.
Bring it out.
Isaiah 9:16. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed.
Where was that at again?
Isaiah 9:16.
So if you led by Noble Drew Ali, if you led by Farrakhan, if you led by any of these false religions, they have caused you to err and go astray. I mean,
so let's get that. Yeah, so that's it for that. Let's get a couple more scriptures. Get that. Envy thou not the oppressor. Proverbs 3.
Proverbs 3 and 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of their ways. By following these religions, you're going off. Go ahead, bring that up. Next letter.
Deuteronomy 28:64.
Go ahead.
And Yahweh shall scatter thee among all the people from one end of the earth unto another. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither nor thy father have known, even wood and stone.
And we ain't know nothing about no Islam until the 1600s. And we serving the Kaaba stone being the stone and the wood being that Christian cross, which comes from Tammuz, which all goes back to Babylon. It really all goes back to the god of Saturn. All of it is Saturn worship. Being the sun god and even being the moon god. You got the moon god with the Islamics, and you got the sun god with the Sunday worship that the so-called Christians do. So you're giving worship to idols, you're praising things that are in heaven.
Yahweh gives instruction on how we to respond to people like that.
Go ahead, bring it up.
Matthew 15:14.
Come on.
Let them alone.
Do what?
Let them alone.
No, join them hand in hand.
Let them them alone.
No, go in the mosque and make salat 6 times a day with the Arabs.
Let them alone.
No, go in the Christian church on Sunday and give up all your money and pay for yourself to burn an eternal damnation.
Let them alone.
So the Most High said, let them alone.
They be blind leaders.
They are what?
They be blind leaders.
No, they see with foresight.
They be blind leaders.
She said they blind leaders.
Of the blind.
Farrakhan is a blind leader.
Con.
Your Christian pastor with the mega church is a blind leader. Go ahead.
Of the blind.
Of the who?
Of the blind.
So he's blind leading the blind.
And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch.
They're going to do what?
Both shall fall into a
So
ditch.
if the blind lead the blind, you're going to fall in the ditch with them.
Get that Second Ezra chapter 7.
The scriptures say a whore is a deep ditch. It's talking about these false religion. Because this is a Babylon the Great, the harlot of harlots right here. Yeah, I mean, you could be a Muslim right here. You can sell drugs. You could be a Christian. You can sell drugs. But if you go back to these law, statutes, and commandments, you're going to know what you're doing is witchcraft. And you're going to be able to do it. See, what we teaching over here requires change. But see, you can be a Muslim and you out there on the block and you can shoot your brother up in the name of Allah. Well, you can't do that when you go back to the law, statutes, and commandments because you got to love your brother as you love yourself. You got to love your sister. You got to tell her to dress up and we ain't going to prostitute you. We don't want you shaking your behind like Sexy Red for everybody. We don't want that to go down. And then you're gonna dress one way and then you're going to be dressed in Islamic garb. Which I seen, me and Kamari was discussing this too. A couple months ago, I was on the bus and we had a chick. She was dressed up in the Muslim garb, but you could see right through it. Like she didn't have no slip or nothing. You could see her whole body and the material that she was wearing. It was all see through, so you could see everything anyway. So it don't matter that she had the hijab and the face covering on, because we still can see your body. But I guess you can do that in Islam and nobody gonna rebuke you.
Brother, still gonna show that clip?
I don't know if you want to show that clip. I did. I wanted to show that clip.
I was about to go into the Quran. We're done we're done with these books. Now we're gonna go into the Quran. We're gonna go into the Quran just to show that. Oh yeah, somebody get Second Ezra 7 and 20. But then after that, we're gonna go into the Quran, just show how did the Quran, it lets you know that we're supposed to follow the Bible and all the different things in here that just show that this is not the book that we should be following.
Absolutely not. You got something to bring out, brother?
Second Ezra 7 and 20.
Come on.
For there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the law of Yahweh that is set before them.
So there be many that die in this life because they do what?
Because they despise the law of Yahweh that is set before them.
So like we got so many murders in our neighborhoods. Every city, every year. The death toll is probably up to, it's really in March. And the death toll in Wilmington's probably up to about 6 by now, maybe more. Most of these people that are dying in the streets by gun violence, what religion do most of them profess, or a good number of them?
Islam.
Good number of them are in Islam.
Let alone that, even though it's 6 deaths, they say somebody gets shot every 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So maybe they ain't dying, but you still got somebody that's getting shot every 12 hours. So it's okay to go and shoot your brother on a daily? You're supposed to love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you love yourself, you ain't gonna shoot yourself. You ain't gonna sell drugs to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or to your own mother. At least I ain't gonna do it.
21 gives the answer to 20.
Go ahead.
For Yahweh has given straight commandments to such as came what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment.
Right. So where do we find that? We find that in the actual holy scriptures, the Torah, in the Bible.
Car.
That's where we find the instructions that we were given, that if we should live. Not the Quran, not Islam, not circling the Kaaba, but obedience to the Most High God.
That's right.
By keeping his laws, statutes, commandments. And even the Quran lets you know to follow the Bible. So first place, inside the Quran, we're going to debunk Islam and the Quran by using the Quran. Go to Surah 10, 93 to 94. And even inside the Torah, even inside the Quran, it lets you know to follow the Bible. Quran.com. So when you go into the Quran, this is what it says in this Surah, not Torah, Surah 1093 says, "We settled the children of Israel in a blessed land."
The children of Ishmael?
The children of Israel. This is the Quran. And this is supposedly Gabriel speaking to Muhammad. Gabriel and the angels settled and the Most High and the Allahayim settled the children of Israel, not Ishmael, in a blessed land and provided them with all manner of good things. They only disagreed among themselves after knowledge of the truth had come to them. Surely the Lord will judge between them on the day of resurrection concerning their disagreements. And that was 93-94. That is, wait, that's not verse 94. Verse 94. Now, if you are in doubt concerning what we have revealed to you, then ask those who have been reading the book before you. So he's verifying the Bible. He's telling the followers of Islam that if you doubt that the Most High, that the children of Israel settled the children of Israel in a what did it say? In a blessed land, just go read the Bible. Just go verify it in the actual holy book, the book that was before you, the Bible, the Torah, the prophets, the Gospels. Then it says, it is the truth.
It is the what?
It is the truth.
I thought the Bible been tampered with. You can't go in it.
It's the truth.
That's what the Quran said about the Bible, that the Bible is the truth.
That has come to you from your Lord. So do never become one of those who doubt.
So people of Islam, you talk to them, they'll tell you that the Quran is better than the Bible, but the Quran is telling you that the Bible better than the Quran. And for you not to doubt it.
Yeah, it says never become one of those who doubt. This book, these pages, these words, that's out of the Quran.
In the Quran, I can't remember what it was, but it's Allah told the children of Israel to go serve their God. I can't find that no more.
I probably got it.
No, we gonna swing with the sword.
Let's
Don't worry.
See. Surah 240. Special favor bestowed on children of Israel. But before we read this, we just read that not to ever doubt the words of the Bible. Get that Isaiah 34:16.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 34, verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of Yahweh and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her made.
None shall what?
None shall want her made.
Go ahead.
For my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it have gathered them.
So the Most High gave his word. He gave us his book, and he said it does not want his mate. None of the prophecies, none of the laws, none of the precepts, none of the writings, none of the word needs a mate from Muhammad or the Quran or anything. What's that scripture that says if you receive another gospel, whether it be from angel or man? It's in Corinthians. Somebody find that one. But in the book of Isaiah, it said that seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read.
That's right.
The Quran said that book is the word of truth and never to doubt it.
But hold on, Muhammad couldn't read.
I couldn't read.
How he could seek out of the book then? He couldn't seek out of the book.
This is the angel telling him to tell his followers.
But it says seek ye out of the book and read.
It's confusing.
2 Corinthians 11 and 4.
Okay.
Bring it up.
For if he that cometh preaches another Jesus, Yahweh, whom we have not preached, or if ye receive another spirit, which we have not received, or another gospel, which ye have not accepted, ye might be well bear with it.
And Muhammad was coming teaching a new religion and another gospel.
What's that one that said from whether it be from angels?
That in Galatians? Galatians or Ephesians?
Galatians 1, 8 to 9. Because Muhammad claimed that Gabriel came and gave him this new religion, right? And like you just said, if you would read yours again. No, you ain't even got to read it. I'll just read this. Galatians 1 and 8 to 9 says, but though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed.
Let him be a what?
Let him be accursed.
Oh man.
And this Quran, this book, teaches a whole lot of different gospel from what the Bible teaches.
That's right.
And the gospel means good news. The good news of this Quran is a perversion of the actual good news that we receive from the Bible, from the Word of God. And he said, let them be accursed. And the scriptures lets us know God does not change. So God is not going to send Gabriel or Michaela or Uriel or anybody else teaching something totally new. A new religion doesn't exist. That's a gospel that wasn't preached unto you, and let that man be accursed.
That's right.
That's what the book that the Quran says not to doubt of says about whoever brings a new religion, a new gospel. That's Galatians 1 and 8. Anybody watching, anybody sitting back saying, nah, not my Islam. Oh, y'all niggas is wicked. That book is been tampered with. Only reason you say it, can't prove it, and the only reason you say it is because all the information, the history, the Bible, the Quran itself cuts the whole doctrine, the whole belief system, and the whole reason that you would even follow this madness. It's a cut on it. Let's read this surah, another Quran verse. Surah 240. 240 says, children of Israel. Once again, children of Israel, not Israel,
Okay.
not Ishmael. Recall my favor which I had bestowed on you, and fulfill your covenant with me, and I shall fulfill my covenant with you, and fear me alone. What's the covenant of the Most High?
Keep the law, statutes, and commandments. It's
Right.
like
And if you do, though, get that. Deuteronomy 28:1. The Quran is saying for the children of Israel to do what the Bible says, and to that he will fulfill his covenant with them.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which
hold on. So this is speaking to the children of Israel. The Quran is speaking to the children of Israel. Our whole purpose of this class is that we know the children of Israel is out here either becoming Muslims or Christians. So even this Quran that the Arab gave you is saying, children of Israel, fulfill my covenant. We're reading in the Bible what happens when we fulfill the covenant that God gave us. Go ahead. He said part of it is if you hearken and keep the commandments.
If thou hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that Yahweh thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power.
So why? Why are we getting this book from the Arab? Why are we getting this religion from the Arabs? Why are we going back to the Arabs' land and circling their rock and breaking one of the top 10 commandments of bowing down to a building? What's second commandment? No, you just said it. Shall not have any graven images nor serve them. You blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians that join up with and take on Islam, you have to once in your life go to Mecca, circle the Kaaba, and bow down and pray to it.
And kiss on that little silver choach on it too.
Right. And break commandment number 2 and 1 and 2. Which Muhammad did do. But even in all that, in his book, he said to you blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans who are the children of Israel, recall, he says that God said, recall his favor that he bestowed and fulfill your covenant. And we just read it. Your covenant is to keep the laws, statutes, commandments, and then be put above all nations.
Oh, he bestowed his favor. That's like Deuteronomy 7:6. Right there.
He bestowed his favor. What's his favor?
For thou art holy people.
Where we at though?
Deuteronomy 7:6.
This is the favor that the Quran is saying he'll give back to the children of Israel if you keep your covenant with him, which is his commandments.
For thou art holy people. Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art holy people unto Yahweh thy power. Yahweh thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people. For ye were the fewest of all people. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, have Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Yeah, so all these things, being put above all nations, being loved by the Most High God, taking on his covenant with him, that is broken when you take your Hajj. And the Quran is saying that God's telling you, children of Israel, not Ishmael or anybody else, to basically follow the Bible once again. Follow follow the Bible. So you are, like we started out the class, you are forsaking your mercy.
That's right.
By following these lying vanities.
That's right.
Same book of Surah 2, verse 41. Watch this. Because in Islam, your belief is that Muhammad's the last prophet. That Gabriel came and spoke to Muhammad. Right? And we know that Muhammad is an Ishmaelite, for a seed of Ishmael. Every real Muslim will tell you we're of Ishmael, right? Let's see if Muhammad can be a prophet of the Most High God or not.
Ooh, the book of Psalms, 147, 19, and 20. Mm-hmm. He shall his word unto Jacob.
Wait. First, we're going to read.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're going to read that. Hold that, though. We're going to go in the Quran first. So, right, next verse from what we just read about children of Israel, what I bestowed on you. Next verse, 41, 241. It says, believe to the children of Israel, and anybody else that's a follower. It's the book of Muslim, which is whatever that means. What's it mean? Serving the God or whatever. What's Muslim mean?
Oh, it means submissive to the will of God.
To the will of God. Okay, if you're submissive if you're an Israelite, if you're a submitter to the will of God, verse 41 lets you know, believe in the book which I have revealed and which confirms the scripture you already have.
You what?
You already have.
You already have the scriptures.
And who? Verse 40 says, who's that? The children of Israel. He revealed this and the scripture to the children of Israel. So, and then it reads, and be not foremost among its deniers. So don't choose the Quran over the Holy Scriptures and be a denier. Talking about going on TV, YouTube shows talking about, that book was tampered with, and then still teaching out of it. So we read the Quran and the Bible because the Bible was tampered with. Well, if the Bible was tampered with, why are you using it at all? Who says the part that you're using for your doctrine wasn't a tampered with part? Make that make sense.
Come on.
So be not foremost among its deniers. Do not sell my signs for a trifling gain, and beware of my wrath. So what it says is the book was revealed to the Israelites. Now read what you got.
The book of Psalms, chapter 147, 19 and 20. He showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh.
Who hasn't known them?
The other nations. It says it's clear as day.
Right. What's that X out?
The Ishmaelites.
Yeah, and it X's out Gabriel coming and giving a new religion for the world.
To Muhammad. We can get that out of Amos too.
We are. First, read this.
Okay, come.
29-27. But yeah, go to Amos 2:11. Still on the topic of revelation being given to the children of Israel. Back in the Quran, now we're at Surah 29 and 27. And Surah 29-27 reads, and we bestowed upon him offspring like Isaac and Jacob, and bestowed prophethood and the book on his descendants, and granted him his reward in this world. He will certainly be among the righteous in the hereafter. So the Quran just said that prophethood and the book was bestowed to Isaac and Jacob.
And his descendants. Muhammad is a descendant of Ishmael. And he is left out of that loop. Amos 2:11. So it told us to believe the Bible. The Bible says
Go ahead. My
I
fault.
got 2 in Amos, but
All right, well, do 2:11. Then if you want another one, go ahead. Cut it.
The book of Amos, chapter 2, verse 11. And I raised up of your sons for prophets, and I raised up your sons for prophets,
Speaking to the children of Israel.
and your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O ye children of Israel?
Children of Israel.
Saith Yahweh.
Descendants of Isaac and Jacob. The Quran cuts itself.
The book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 1 and 2.
What?
Hear this word that Yahweh has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Like the Quran, it just kicks its own legs out from under itself.
Watch this. Surah 45 and 16.
And to our brothers that's Muslim that may be watching this lesson, we're not attacking you. We're here to tear down the strongholds. That's what we're here to do. We're here to tell you to come out from amongst them and be ye separate and touch not the unclean thing. Because celebrating Ramadan is an unclean thing that you was not told to do in the scriptures. You was given the Day of Atonement to atone for. And fast for that one day. Now, if you want to choose to fast another day or anything like that, that's fine. We're not telling you to do that. But you wasn't told never nowhere in the scriptures to fast the whole month. Nowhere. We're not attacking you. We're showing you that you are the children of Israel. And even the Quran bestows this favor upon you. And it tells you to go back to the scriptures, which we are reading out of. So that you go back to be set apart and holy.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Surah 45, 16. Surah 45 and 16. Indeed, we endowed the children of Israel with the book and wisdom and prophethood and provided them with good things as sustenance and exalted them above the peoples of the whole world. So why are we following Ishmael's book, Ishmael's beliefs? When Ishmael's even telling us in his own book, when he's speaking to us, to follow our book. The Bible is your book. The Torah is your book. The prophets are your book. The gospel is your book. The Apocrypha is your book. All this was given to the children of Israel. That's this book. The Bible is what holds wisdom. The words of the prophets, not the Quran. The Quran is taking the crap all over its own self. Letting the children of Israel, speaking of the book, the children of Israel, the same book that it's co-signing is saying, yeah, but don't listen to him. It's like a junkie co-signing a drug dealer of how smart he is. And then the drug dealer letting you know, yeah, I have been. People do say I'm pretty smart, but check this out. Don't listen to him, though. He can give you no wisdom. He's dumb. That's the Quran and the Bible. The Quran saying, yeah, go to him. He's saying, yeah, good thing you came to me, but don't go back to him. He's a crackhead.
Yeah.
Don't go back to him. He's not smart.
Sorry.
He's not smart enough to not sell all his possessions for a hit of crack. That's what the Bible is saying about the Quran. That's what's going on here. The Quran is letting you know. Read the Bible. That's where wisdom's at.
Go ahead.
The children of Israel, that's who was chosen. What you got?
We got Baruch 4 and 1.
Okay.
This book of the commandments of Yahweh and the law that endure forever.
How long?
Forever.
No, the Quran supersedes it.
Forever.
Okay, there you go. Come on.
All they that keep it shall come to life.
So if you keep the sayings and you keep the law, statutes, commandments that are within the confines of the Bible, you should come to life. Come on.
But such as leave it shall die.
So if you leave the Bible for the Quran, you're going to be put to death.
Con. What's the law on adultery?
You're not supposed to take another man's wife.
Surah 425.
Come on.
I get one more before you get that.
Yeah, he got another precept. Go ahead, bring it up.
Revelation 1 and 3.
Come on.
Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy.
Of what?
The prophecy.
What book are you coming out of?
Revelations 1 and 3.
And what book is the Revelations in?
Blessed is he.
No. What book is the Revelations in?
The book of the Bible.
Okay, there you go.
Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein.
Okay,
For the time is at hand.
that's right. So if you keep the things that's written in the time of the Bible, these things is going to bring you to life.
So one of the curses, so it's a law, it's one of the main commandments, thou shalt not commit adultery. Also in the curses of Deuteronomy, it says it'd be a curse that if you disobey, another man will sleep with your wife. Con?
Ooh.
Right? That's a curse, right?
Yeah, that's a curse.
Okay. Well, Surah 425 gives permission to doing just that. Now, we already read about the position of blacks in the Arab Muslim world, right? Pretty much slaves, right? Surah 425 reads, and those of you who cannot afford to marry free, believing women, then marry such believing women whom your right hands possess. Allah knows all about your faith. All of you belong to one another. Marry them then with the leave of their guardians, and give them the bridal due in the fair manner that they may live in the protection of wedlock, rather than be either mere objects of unfettered lust or given to secret love affairs. Then if they become guilty of immoral conduct after they have entered into wedlock, they shall be liable to half the penalty to which free women are liable. This relaxation is for those of you who fear to fall into sin by remaining unmarried. But if you persevere, it is better for you. Allah is all forgiving, all compassionate. All right. I must have wrote down the wrong verse. Oh, verse 24. And also forbidden you. Oh, all right. It must be 24. Let me read this. And also forbidden to you are all married women. Yeah, this is it. So the Quran, I said 425. Salaki, it was 424. Also forbidden to you are all married women, except those women whom your right hands have come to possess as a result of war, for example. This is Allah's decree, and it is binding upon you. But it is lawful for you to seek out all women except these, offering them your wealth and the protection of wedlock, rather than using them for the unfettered satisfaction of lust. So,
Wait.
So this says that you can have married women as long as they're your slaves.
But the scriptures say if we go to war and we take women, we supposed to like put to death all the women that have known a man.
Right. The Quran says that you can marry married women as long as they're your slaves that you've taken and possessed.
Wow.
You can commit adultery as long as it's your slave.
They were in the enslaving business.
Huh?
They were in the enslaving business.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be the laws of God, right? They say this was given by Gabriel. It's the word of quote unquote Allah, but it's totally against the commandments.
Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to get your attention. I put something on that.
So
Can't go in there. We streaming.
Okay.
Also, verse 34. What does the Bible say about the treatment of your wives? What's the Bible say about the treatment of wives?
You don't lay with another man's wife.
No. I'm saying the treatment of your wife.
Otherwise, it's Christ.
Love them as your own body, right? Somebody get that.
It's Ephesians 5.
Give me that weaker vessel scripture. Take him in there.
Oh, that's echoing.
Because our sisters love to be in Islam. They love to throw on the hijab and the garment that covers everything, right? They love being a wife in Islam. Yeah, so read to me the treatment of a wife in the Bible.
1 Peter 3:7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife.
So husbands are supposed to dwell with their wives according to knowledge. Go ahead.
Giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel.
So giving honor to the wife as the weaker vessel, understanding that he's supposed to guide her because she's the weaker vessel. Go ahead.
And as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
Give me the other one. Do benevolence.
Another one.
Yeah, that one was good. Now I want to do benevolence. Anybody got to do benevolence? While we find that, is it appropriate to beat your wife? That's what we're going into. But I want to read the do benevolence.
I was here.
What you got? Is it treatment of the wife?
Yeah.
Read it.
The book of Ephesians chapter 5, verse 20. Giving thanks always for all things unto God and the Father in the name of Yahweh, in the name of Hamashiach Yahushua, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of Yahweh. Wives, submit to yourselves unto your own husbands as unto Yahweh. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Yahushua, so let the wives be to their own husbands in every way. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it.
So you're supposed to love your wife the same as Christ loved the church. Go ahead.
That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as Yahweh Shai the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones.
All right, 1 Corinthians 7:3. 1 Corinthians 7:3. All right, let's get that.
1 Corinthians 7:3. Let the husband render unto his wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife to the husband.
So, go ahead.
The wife have not power of her own body.
All right, you can stop there. But it says the man rendered to the woman do benevolence.
That's right.
Definition for benevolence is well-meaning or kindness. Now we're going to see what the Quran prescribes for men and their women.
Hold up, real quick. It says to love your wife as you love yourself. You ain't gonna treat yourself bad, so why you gonna treat your wife bad? But go ahead.
Yeah, let's see. So, Surah 434. Men are the protectors and maintainers of women, because Allah has made one of them excel over the other, which there's no problem here. True. And because they spend out their possessions to support them. Also, give me Surah 25, the last verse. I'm about to finish this. But
yeah. Give me Surah 25.
Yeah, last verse. So Allah has made one of them excel over the other, and because they spend out of their possessions to support them. Thus, righteous women are obedient and guard the rights of men in their absence under Allah's protection. As for women of whom you fear rebellion, admonish them and remain apart from them in beds and beat them.
And do what?
And beat them.
Love them as you love yourself.
And beat them.
Cherish her as the weaker vessel.
And beat them.
Oh my goodness.
Then if they obey you, do not seek ways to harm them. Allah is exalted and great. So this is what you follow. And the Negro will say, yeah, I don't agree that it's okay to beat your woman, but you're in Islam and it prescribes to you to beat your woman if you fear rebellion and to correct her. It says to beat her. So why are we following this? What's the Bible say if your woman can't get right? Surah 25, last verse.
Verse 26. If she go not as though wouldst have heard.
So we've admonished them. We've tried to get them to go the right way. Go ahead.
Cut her off from thy flesh.
Do what?
Cut her off from thy flesh.
So remain apart from them in beds, like the Quran said. Don't lay with her no more. Go ahead.
And give her a bill of divorce.
Wait, no, beat her.
Give her a bill of divorce.
No, whoop her ass.
Give her a bill of divorce.
Yeah, let that one, like that song said, let that woman go. Who sung that? Jaheim or somebody? Yeah, you gotta let that woman go.
Yeah.
You don't beat her. But a lot of like that's the problem. That's the problem. You said first off the hypocrisy, the double talk in Islam of having the Bible and then the Quran and trying to team them together, but they're exact opposites.
It's contradiction.
They're contradictions because one is a perversion of a man's imagination. Give me that Jeremiah 17 and 3. Or is it 9? 9. This book is the perversion of the scriptures. Is somebody's imagination teamed with what they were learned from the children of God, the Israelites. That's why it's continually speaking of the good of Israel, the blessings bestowed on Israel. Is speaking of following the book, but then it's contradicting the book because it's a perversion. It's a joining of Muhammad's imagination with what he learned from Hebrews. And what's the Bible say about your mind, your heart, your imagination?
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Mm-hmm. Who can know it? Mm-hmm. And let me read it for people who not getting the gist of what it's saying. The mind is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Mm-hmm. So this man's imagination was desperately wicked. Yeah, I mean, he wanted to come up with his new religion to gain followers of Hebrew people. His mind was desperately wicked. So we shouldn't be following by the thoughts of this desperately wicked man. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, bring it up.
Mark 21 to 23.
Come on.
For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts.
Proceed what?
Evil thoughts.
Come on.
Adulteries, fornication, murders, theft, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, and the evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within the defile of man.
Come.
What comes from inside the man's mind?
Wickedness.
Somebody get 116:15. Psalm 116:15 real quick.
Psalm 116,
Mm-hmm.
15.
Yeah, and before you read it, I'm about to go here real quick. Back in the Quran, Surah 2, 121. So if you're in Islam, you should be following everything we brought out in the Quran. You should be following this too. Surah 2, 121. Those to whom we have given the scripture and who recite it as it ought to be recited. Well, that's what we're doing, reading out the Bible, correct?
Come.
They truly believe in it. And those who disbelieve in it, they are the real losers. So if you're sitting around and you're believing the Quran on one hand, and then the Bible, it's telling you believe the Bible, and then the Bible is telling you that book is trash, and you're still choosing that book over the Bible. The book you're choosing is calling you a loser, brother. The book, the Quran is calling you a real loser, sister. A two-time loser. Let's get that Psalm 116:15. Why is this book that Muhammad recited to his scribes and said this, the words of God, but it contradicts so much of the words of God? How did he come up with this abomination?
Psalms 116:15. Precious in the sight of Yahweh is the death of his saints.
You're 116:15? Huh? Hold on. I gave you the wrong verse. 11. 116:11.
Psalms 116:11. I said in my haste, all men are liars.
All men are what?
All men are liars.
So what's good when you coming off your own thoughts, your imagination, your own mind, and not from the words of God? All men are liars. And Muhammad especially. That man was a liar. And he took a little bit of truth that he learned, and he just made up a whole bunch of whatever lies he could come up with in his mind.
With a superlative imagination.
With a superlative imagination that he was described as having. And we know that the mind, the heart of man is evil above all things. That's his imagination. Evil above all things. That's why you have things like Surah 2, 173. Somebody give me that Leviticus 11. Can we eat swine? Can we eat pig?
La'ah.
And then one of y'all get that Second Maccabees 7:1, or the end of chapter 6.
Leviticus 11:7.
Yeah, can we eat swine? That's what I want.
Oh man, you should start at that Second Maccabees 6 started verse 9.
We're gonna, that's fine, but first let's get the law. Can we eat swine?
Yeah. The book of Leviticus, chapter 11, verse 7. And the swine, though he divideth the hoof, and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you. Of their flesh shall you not eat, and of their carcass shall you not touch. Mm-hmm. They are unclean to you.
Mm-hmm. So the swine's unclean.
Con.
We're not going to read that whole thing, but also the swine, anything don't got fins and scales.
The camel,
a variety of different bugs. You got some that are lawful, some that ain't. The camel, it gives you if it has to both part the hoof and chew the cud. If it just does one of those two things, it's unlawful. But what's the main thing that we deal with here in America? Pork. So we cannot eat pork. Get that now. That Maccabees. Second Maccabees. Six and what verse you said?
6 and 9.
6 and 9. So this is how serious it is to refuse swine.
Go ahead.
The second Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 9.
You know.
And whoso would not confirm themselves.
No, I'm wrong. Started like around 18, I think.
The book of Second Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 18.
Yeah.
Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man and of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine flesh.
Do what?
To eat swine flesh.
Come on.
He was constrained. What's that mean?
Force.
He was being forced to eat swine flesh. Go ahead.
But he, choosing rather to die gloriously.
To do what?
But he, choosing rather to die gloriously.
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 Go ahead.
Than to live stained and with such an abomination spit it forth.
So he refused to eat pig even at the prospect of death and torture, and chose rather to die gloriously by refusing to eat swine. Now let's see what the Quran says. We'll start at Surah chapter 2, verse 168. And it lets you know, O people, eat of the lawful and pure things in the earth, and follow not in the footsteps of Satan. For surely he is your open enemy. Verse 169. He only commands you to do evil and commit acts of indecency and to ascribe to Allah the things concerning which you have no knowledge, that he really is their source. And when they are told, follow what Allah has revealed, they say, no, we shall follow what we found our forefathers adherent to. Wait. What verse am I at? Oh. All right. I'm going to drop down to 173. So 168 let the Quran says, eat what's lawful and pure things in the earth, and follow not the footsteps of Satan. Now verse 173. And we know that what's lawful is not the pig. 173. He has made unlawful to you only carrion and blood and the flesh of swine, and that over which there. Wait a second. It says he has made unlawful only carrion. What's carrion? Well, this is false. Leviticus 11 lets us know it's a whole lot of unlawful
It's a whole
food.
dietary law.
It's a
It ain't
whole
just
dietary
three
law.
things. That's a flat out lie.
So already we're seeing a lie and a blasphemy.
A discrepancy. And this is supposed to be recited.
Carrion is carcass, the decaying flesh of dead animals. Wait, so only decaying flesh and blood and the flesh of swine has God made unlawful.
What about the shellfish and the catfish?
Read that real quick. Let's get the. How about the fish?
The book of Leviticus, chapter 11,
Animals
verse
in the
9. These shall you eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever have fins and scales, in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall you eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of all living things which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
So that's a whole lot more than these three things. That's your shrimp, your lobster, your crab, your octopus, your mussels, your oysters, your what? Snails. Those are out of water, but they're unlawful too. Sea snails. But I just know for a fact, like people eat snail soup. They get that out of the yard. But you see snails, read that camel. Get that camel real quick. Catfish. Anything like there's a whole, man, it's probably hundreds of thousands of unlawful things you cannot eat just in the sea alone.
Verse 4. Nevertheless, shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean unto you.
You can't. Your camel's about to pass. He done been faithful and walked you from Africa to
Sub-Sahara,
to India to Europe and back 5 times, right? But can't let him go to waste. Let's just eat him. No
camel hump soup.
No Akbad. No Akbad. You can't have your camel. It's unlawful. It's not just the swine.
It's the most delicious part of the camel.
No, Jermaine, you can't eat. You can't get the camel steaks from the corner store. It's a duck. They got this new. They got this new camel steak. But the you can't have it.
But the Quran say
right.
The Quran say only Caribean blood and swine flesh, brother.
Yeah, bro. Aki said that this is lawful meat. We can have it for Ramadan. No, sir. It's not just the swine.
Going to the birds, sir. 13 on that.
You got a whole list of birds. We ain't go, but Khan, the dietary law. It's a whole list of there's flying animals you can't eat. It's a whole lot more than just carrion, which is decaying animals, which we can't eat that either. That's in the Bible. So this we're seeing that he got parts from the Bible, but then his all men are liars imagination.
Relative imagination.
Just ran and made up. I can't remember everything, but I got it. Tell them this, tell them that. Man, this is an abomination. This book.
The Most High judgment toward Isaiah 66:16.
Oh yeah, bring that up.
Or by fire.
Wait. Let's read that after we finish this out, because you already know what this says, but we ain't read it. So it's a whole lot more than just these 3 things. So the flesh of swine. I'm gonna start over. He has made unlawful to you only carrion and blood and the flesh of swine, and that over which there has been pronounced the name of anyone other than Allah. But he who is constrained to eat of them, what we read in 2 Maccabees, the elder was constrained to eat swine's flesh and chose rather to die gloriously.
Hold up.
It says in the Quran, he who is constrained to eat of these unlawful things, carrion or blood or flesh of swine.
Ezekiel, you still holding that? Yeah. Keep reading, man.
Let me finish this out. So he who is constrained to eat of these unlawful foods, and he neither covets them nor exceeds the indispensable limit, incurs no sin. Allah is all forgiving, all compassionate. So he's allowed to eat of them.
Wow.
Long as he doesn't eat too much. That's what it means. It says, he who is constrained to eat of them, and he neither covets them, nor he wasn't coveting it, but he's constrained to eat it, nor exceeds the indispensable limit.
Just eat enough so his belly is full.
Incurs no sin. Allah is all forgiving. Now we're going to get that 2 Maccabees again, then that Isaiah.
Yeah, keep reading, son.
Same thing. No, just read all over again.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 18.
Come on.
Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man, and of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine flesh. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously.
To do what?
But he, choosing rather to die gloriously. Than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth, and came of his own accord to the torment, as it behoved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted.
So he wouldn't do it even for love of life to be tasted. He wouldn't eat the swine's flesh. You know what I mean? Go ahead, good brother.
Yeah, get your
Isaiah
Isaiah.
66:16. For by fire and by his word will Yahweh plead with all flesh. In the slain of Yahweh shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden.
Those that eat till they full and hungry.
Behind one tree in the midst eating swine's flesh.
Eating what?
Swine's flesh. In the abomination.
In the what?
In the abomination.
That camel hump soup?
In the abomination.
That shellfish, that crab with that lemon sprinkled on it?
In the abomination.
Come on.
And the mouse shall be consumed together, saith Yahweh.
That's future prophecy, ain't it?
Yeah. And they over there eating worse stuff than that. I've seen videos where they said they eat monkey head still. Yeah.
Well, the African
They showed you on Indiana Jones they was eating it. Yeah.
Little kids.
Moab, nothing gets past
Elephant
this
testicles.
And also it says that.
I don't know.
So also this verse mentions food that's been pronounced in the name of other gods, right? They can eat it as long as if they're constrained, as long as they wasn't covenanted it, or they don't exceed the indispensable limit, right? What's the Bible say about that? Acts 15. Somebody get that.
Acts 15.
Uh-huh.
Acts 15.
And I think it was 29.
29.
Mm-hmm.
Acts 15:29. That ye abstain from meat.
Go up a little bit ahead. So it's
For it seems good to the Holy Ghost and to us that lay upon you a greater burden than these necessary things, that ye abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled, and from fornication, from which if ye keep yourselves, you shall do well, fare ye well.
Come on.
So what's that mean?
Stay away these things.
Stay away from these things. There's no excuses.
Not if you're hungry. I mean, you heard of fasting before. You're gonna eat to your own lust, some dirty,
I'm gonna get one more
stinky, filthy swine.
One more out of the Quran before we close
not
up.
for nothing. It's 2025 and niggas is still eating chitlins. Like, come on, man. Like, we just gotta stop.
But this is what the Quran teaches. This is a whole bunch of contradiction and
what's the thing you use to charge this? Use this. What you use to charge this?
so Surah chapter 2 verse 79. And this is a cut on Islam, a cut on Muhammad, a cut on the Quran. It says, woe then to those who write out the scriptures with their own hands, and then, in order to make a trifling gain, claim this is from Allah. That's Muhammad. That's exactly what Muhammad did.
That's exactly what he did. It said it was sent by
Gabriel did not give you this.
Absolutely not.
Titus 1:1. I'm gonna finish out this. It says, woe to them for what their hands have written, and woe to them for what they thus earn. Actually, I'm gonna give you one more. I'm gonna give you the only prophecy that Muhammad wrote in this Quran.
You go, Titus what?
1:1.
Titus 1:1. Paul, a servant of Yahweh and an apostle of Hamashiach Yahushua, according to the faith of Yahweh's elect, and the acknowledging of the truth which is after godliness, in the hope of eternal life, which Yahweh that cannot lie,
How did what?
cannot lie,
Mm-hmm.
promised before the world began.
So if Yahweh can't lie, then this book has to be the lie.
That's right.
This is the lie. There was, and it said, "Woe to him, Muhammad,
Mm-hmm.
who would write out the scriptures with their own hands, own imagination." That means,
Mm-hmm.
and then in order to make a trifling claim, this is from Allah.
Mm-hmm.
One more I saw it, then we'll close out. Surah 69, 44 to 47.
And he was looking to gain the Islamic world. So you can say that he sold his soul
What
to
did
have the
yeah.
world,
What
which
did
is
he
a
say
set
on
apart society.
Yeah, that's having control of the world. It's about gain. What did he say? He wanted on his deathbed. What did we read?
He wanted all of Arabia
That's right.
to be practicing Islam.
Yep.
So he gained that for the cost of his soul.
Not to mention he was an Ishmaelite.
Come.
That this word, the true word, wouldn't be given to him. So like we gotta stop being simple niggas and following just anything that looks cool, following the crowd. The scriptures say that the narrow gate is the way, and the wide gate is the narrow gate is the way to life, and the wide gate is the way to destruction. Christianity, biggest religion in the world. Islam, right on its heels. Next biggest religion in the world, about to overtake Christianity. These are the wide gates, and these are leading all his followers to destruction. In Surah 69, 44 to 47, this is about the only prophecy that Muhammad gave.
Was it already prophesied?
It's not really a prophecy, but wait. 44. Okay. It said, I'll just start at 38. But no, I swear by what you see and by what you do not see, that this is the speech of an honorable messenger, not the speech of a poet. Little do you believe, nor is this the speech of a soothsayer. Little do you reflect. It has been revealed by the Lord of the universe. We've shown that that's a lie. And if he, an example of the prophets, had forged this discourse and thereafter ascribed it to us, we would surely have seized him by the right hand and then severed his life vein. And not one of you would have been able to withhold us from doing so. And Muhammad, when he died, he said he was quoted as saying that it felt like his aorta was being cut. I'll see if I can find that quote. But where's that? Surely you'll know a prophet has been amongst you. Because what you're surely seeing is that when it comes to Muhammad, a prophet was not amongst you, unless you speaking of a lying prophet.
I have a receipt from which put Muhammad in the light of being greater than Yahweh himself.
Hold on. I'm trying to see if I can find this quote by, I believe it was by Aisha, that he said that in his death.
It's a symptom from Zenobia poison.
Huh?
That was a condition fell upon him because Zenobia poisoned an Israelite woman that he had as a slave. And she said that if you're a man of God, surely the Most High will protect you. That's according to this.
Right. I'm trying to look it up, put it on the screen. Unless you know exactly where it's at.
No, I don't.
Oh, I think this is it. So this is Muhammad being quoted at his death and saying, so this is out of the, I don't know how to, narrated by Aisha. This is one of the
What's this hadith?
the Muslim writings. I guess the hadith. It's on the screen. It's but it's narrated by Aisha. I believe it's in the Quran. It's it says reference. The Sahih al-Bukhari, book 64, hadith 450. Right? So there's your reference. And it says the Prophet Muhammad in his ailment in which he died used to say, "Oh Aisha, I still feel the pain caused by the food I ate at Khaybar. And at this time, I feel as if my aorta is being cut from that poison." He died the same death that his book says a false prophet would die. And that's exactly how the so-called prophet of Islam, the prophet of the Quran, met his death.
I get this last one in?
Yeah.
Okay. This is for all the ones that wants to follow Islam, wants to follow Christianity. This is Deuteronomy, going to the law, Deuteronomy 28, 58. We'll read on down to I'm going to go down to 61. It says, "If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that is written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious..."
Hold on, real quick. I want to make sure everybody hears it. Read that part again.
"If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Most High thy power. Then the Most High will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed even great plagues, and of the long continuance and sore sicknesses and long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and thou shalt cleave unto thee. Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in this book of the law will the Lord bring upon them until thou be destroyed." So that's all the ones who don't want to follow. Not you want to eat shrimp, crab, lay all that kind of stuff. These are the things that's going to take place upon you.
I gotta close the scripture.
All right. Yeah. So, but what he just brought out is he just showed that one of the main reasons that we find our people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, in the condition that we find them in as a whole, not individually, as a whole in America and other ghettos and slums across the world, is because we do not follow the laws, statutes, commandments, and what the Most High requires of us. Instead, we follow the false religions that we've been given by the nations that hate our guts and want to keep us underneath of their foot. An example, Christianity, Islam, and anything else that goes against keeping the commandments and laws of God. And you got one more before we close out.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18. I'm going to start at verse 15. Slakia. "Yahweh thy power will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken, according to all that thou desirest of Yahweh thy power in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, Let me hear again the voice of Yahweh thy power, neither let me see this great fire anymore, that I die not. And Yahweh said unto me, They have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it at him. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. And if thou say in thine heart, how shall we know the word which Yahweh have not spoken when the prophet speaketh in the name of Yahweh? If the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which Yahweh have not spoken, but the prophet have spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. So you should not be afraid of following the religion of Islam. You should not be afraid of following behind Muhammad and thinking that you're going to be put to death. You should not be afraid to follow behind this wicked Quran, which is nothing but toilet paper. You should not be afraid of the community following them as a multitude to do evil, to follow behind this wicked religion of Islam. And what we've done is we've taken and we turned down the stronghold, which is Islam. And may the Lord add the blessing to the true learning of his holy word. And if you are listening, get rid of that Quran out your house. Set it in your bathroom and wipe your backside with it. And with that, I say shalom.
Shalom. But one more, Salaki, one more. Brute 4 and 1, then we head out. Brute 4 and 1. Brute 4 and 1.
Baruch 4:1. Yeah, he did.
We did, but I want to get it again. Read it further down. I'll get it.
Ezekiel get it.
I got it. Brute 4 and 1. This is the book of the commandments of the Most High God. Let me see that. This right here is the book of the commandments of the Most High Yahweh.
That's right.
And the law that endureth forever.
That's
all
right.
they that keep it shall come to life, and such as leave it shall die. So what we've been proving is that you need to come up out of Islam, come up out of Christianity, come up out of anything that's not keeping the laws of God, and then you will come to life. Up until then, until you do this, you are amongst the walking dead. You are the dry bones in the book of Ezekiel. Come back to the laws, statutes, commandments of God. Verse 2, turn thee, O Jacob. That's you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians here in America, and others scattered across to the four corners. We're mainly speaking to you here where we're from, our people. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof. That's where the light is. That's where you get light to see your path in darkness. The law, statutes, commandments of the Bible. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. Everybody talk about being illuminated, the third eye, being calcified and all that. No, that's coming back to the laws of God. That's when you become illuminated.
That's right.
That's when you become the true Illuminati.
That's right.
So verse 3, give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation. O Israel, happy are we, for the things that are pleasing to Yahweh are made known unto us. They wasn't made known unto Ishmael. They wasn't made known unto Muhammad. They're not made known unto the Arabs of today. They're not made known to your imam or anybody that's teaching you the religion of Islam and pushing the Quran in your face. Come back to keeping the laws of God and following the words written in the Bible, just like the Quran tells you to. So with that, we'll close out. You want one more?
Yeah, one more.
All right, one more.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 17. Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith Yahweh, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith Yahweh Almighty.
Come.
Whom you shall love! Whom you shall love! Whom you shall love! By Shem Yahushua!